Listen to me and listen closely. What I am about to share may shatter every assumption you hold about your limitations, your past defeats, and your inner state. There are two breeds of human beings on this earth. Those who wander through life defeated, exhausted, murmuring complaints, merely enduring one day to the next. And those who stand unshaken through the storm, who grin when others crumble, ascend when others retreat, and conquer. The distinction, I have found, is not intellect. It is not chance. It is not formal schooling. It is what I have termed an unshakable mental fortress. And understand this clearly. This is not mere positive thinking. This is not superficial cheerfulness. This is not pasting a smile on your face while your spirit is fracturing. No, an unshakable mental fortress is a spiritual force. It is the capacity to pierce through the haze of turmoil and still move with conviction, accuracy, and intent. It is the sole known antidote to permanent defeat. It is the bedrock of all enduring achievement. I dedicated decades to studying the titans of industry and innovation. Gates, Musk, and the pioneers of our age. Individuals who constructed legacies not because their path was smooth, but because they forged this indomitable mindset. They did not dread failure. They engaged with it. They did not yield to obstacles. They dissected them. They did not collapse under weight. They learned to transmute every setback into a stepping stone. And you possess this same capacity. But first, let me pose a question. What is the master of your mind at this very moment? Is it anxiety, uncertainty, self-sympathy, bitterness? Or is it conviction, definite chief aim, thankfulness, and burning desire? Because the mind is never vacant. It is perpetually under the command of something. If you do not steer it, circumstance will. If you do not command it, fear will. This is the truth I confronted when I finally faced my ultimate adversary, the man in the mirror. Hear me now. Your mental attitude is the one thing over which you hold absolute, total, and undeniable sovereignty. You can command it, should you choose to. This truth will either liberate you forever, or it will insult your excuses. Because what you accept as truth, you embody. What you fix your mind upon, you draw to you. What you consistently dwell upon, you ultimately live out. You protest, but I have tried to maintain hope, and life continues to strike me down. Then I ask you, what is your definite chief aim? For no person can cultivate a resilient mental fortress without a goal so blazing, so all-consuming, so monumental that even failure recoils before it. Show me a man without a purpose, and I will show you a man adrift. And the drifter, my friend, is always prey to his own doubts. But show me a man who knows his definite chief aim, who wakes with fire in his soul and a blueprint in his thoughts, and I will show you a man who is invincible. To build this unshakable mental fortress, you must first decide with precision what you want. You must believe without a shadow of doubt that you will attain it. You must act every single day in alignment with that belief. No justifications, no waiting for inspiration, no reliance on external conditions. Let me tell you something you will rarely hear. The world owes you no motivation. The cosmos will not stop to coddle your fragility, but it will unfailingly reward a definite chief aim backed by unyielding faith. When a man decides, irrevocably, that he will not quit, that he will not capitulate to corrosive thinking, and that his mind is his supreme asset, then a shift occurs. He begins to attract the resources he requires. Allies materialize, doors open. A resilience he never knew he possessed begins to surge through him. And failure starts to fear him. But this metamorphosis only ignites when you grasp this next fundamental secret. Negative thoughts are not guests. They are occupying forces. If you permit them, they will commandeer your home, your mind. If you host them, they will devour your purpose from within. If you let them reside, they will persuade you to abandon the very mission you were placed on this earth to accomplish. Therefore, you must perform what I call mental sovereignty. Take an audit of your thinking. Monitor your internal dialogue. And when you catch your mind slipping toward anxiety, hesitation, concern, or envy, halt it as you would an intruder at your threshold. Replace it with gratitude, with faith, with the voice of authority that declares, I was not built to be broken. I was not designed to be weak. I am composed of the same essence that sculpts continents, that ignites stars, that beats in the heart of legends. Now, let me dismantle the grandest lie that enslaves people to weakness. I'm just not a positive person. Nonsense. You were not born optimistic or pessimistic. You were conditioned. Your surroundings trained you. Your past shaped you. But nothing is permanent unless you consent to it. What has been learned can be unlearned. What has been programmed can be rewritten. The key is persistence through repetition. You become what you persistently do. You believe what you persistently declare. And your attitude will mirror the dominant thoughts you entertain over time. So if you wish to forge an unshakable mental fortress, you must begin with this. Control your input. Nourish your mind daily with conviction, bravery, and truth. Speak power even when you feel anguish. Read the words of giants until they are emblazoned upon your soul. There is no bypass. There is no trick. But there is a path. And it starts with a single decision. That no matter what life unleashes upon you, your attitude is yours. Not your adversaries, not your detractors, not your histories. Yours. And that, my friend, is the genesis of true power.
If you want to develop this fortress, you must comprehend the power of autosuggestion. What is autosuggestion? It is the process through which your subconscious mind becomes the ground for either weeds or wheat. Whatever you repeatedly tell yourself, be it truth or falsehood, your mind accepts, internalizes, and ultimately believes. Your success is always preceded by a dialogue, not with others, but with yourself. Your inner speech is either an architect of empire or a silent saboteur of destiny. The man who rises each day and declares, I will prevail, I will persist, I will not be denied, begins to mold his reality through the sheer force of mental conviction. The man who wakes and mutters, nothing ever works for me, I'm defeated, I can't. That man has already died in his spirit. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief must be tempered daily through repetition. It is not enough to wish once. You must condition the mind like a muscle, daily, deliberately, ruthlessly. Take 5 minutes each morning to breathe life into your purpose. Not timidly, not quietly, but with fire, with force, with clarity. Declare, I am stronger than my circumstances. My purpose is more potent than my fear. I magnetize what I require because I accept nothing less. You may not sense it initially. That is natural. The subconscious is not altered by feelings. It is altered by repetition fused with emotion. Say it again and again and again until the voice of triumph drowns out the voice of despair. Now let's go deeper. An unshakable attitude is also unattainable without self-discipline. You cannot master your emotions if you cannot master your routines. You cannot maintain a high vibration if you are shackled by degrading habits. Discipline is the bridge between vision and victory. Without it, your intentions are fantasies and your destiny is deferred. The giants I study did not ascend on giftedness alone. They rose because they governed their own nature. They knew that the man who cannot command his thoughts, his time, his impulses, is a servant in a world meant for masters. So I ask you, what do you tolerate that erodes your spirit? What distractions do you welcome that hinder your advance? What comforts do you embrace that steal your future? An unshakable mental fortress is not born in comfort. It is born in discipline under pressure. It is forged when you say, I will study instead of consume. I will create instead of sleep in. I will speak vision instead of grievance. Because every time you elect discipline over impulse, your inner fortitude expands. And every time you surrender to lethargy, your potential diminishes. Now, let's address perhaps the most crucial truth I uncovered after a lifetime of analyzing success and failure. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. If you truly internalize that, you can never be truly defeated. You may be wounded, you may stumble, you may endure, but you will never be destroyed because you will know this is not the conclusion. It is the trial before your promotion. Reflect on your own journey. Your most profound growth did not emerge from comfort. It emerged from crisis. Your greatest insight did not arrive when the waters were calm. It arrived when the tempest raged and you had to choose, sink or swim. So, I charge you, cultivate the habit of expecting the good hidden within the bad. Train your mind to affirm, this pain is training me. This failure is guiding me. This delay is shielding me. And what is the result? You become immovable. You become a threat to defeat itself, because life cannot harm a man who grows more powerful with every blow. Now, let me unveil another core tenet from my work. You are never a victim of circumstance. You are only ever a victim of your response to it. Two men can encounter the identical hardship. One grows resentful, the other grows resilient. The difference? Mental attitude. When life delivers a blow, you have the choice. Will I condemn it, or will I receive it as the instructor it is? When you face betrayal, you decide. Will I harbor bitterness, or will I emerge wiser and more discerning? You cannot control the event, but you always control its meaning. This is the great secret. An unshakable mental fortress does not eliminate hardship. It reframes it. It doesn't calm the storm. It teaches you to navigate it with intent. Now, let me warn you, there will be those who despise your mindset. They will ridicule your resolve. They will label you a dreamer, impractical, or a fool. Disregard them. Most are addicted to average. They have formed a habit of hopelessness. They feel threatened by anyone who dares to stand while they have settled for crawling. You must sever mental contamination at its root. Surround yourself solely with those who speak potential. Evade those who nourish your fears. Tell me who you consistently associate with, and I will tell you the ceiling of your future. Your environment is more powerful than your willpower. If you dwell in cynicism, do not expect your mind to radiate light. You must be vigilant about what you permit to influence your attitude.
For what enters your ears enters your psyche. Finally, let me leave you with this. You require no one's authorization to claim this power. You need no diploma, no status, no validation. You require only one thing, a decision. A decision to own your thoughts. A decision to lead your mind instead of being led by it. A decision to become the kind of person that nothing can shatter because your attitude refuses to capitulate. If you make that decision today, if you declare, from this moment on, I no longer lease my attitude to my conditions, I own it, I command it, I defend it, then you are already on the path to mastery, because the universe yields to the will of those who stand firm in spirit, even when the body is tired. Stand firm, my friend. You have listened this far. That reveals something about you. It tells me you are no longer satisfied with merely existing. You desire to command your life, and command begins in the mind. The ultimate layer in constructing an unshakable mental fortress is this: you must have a definite chief aim. Without a purpose, the mind meanders. Without a burning objective, the mind floats like dust in the wind, tossed by fear, doubt, and distraction. You must tether your mind to something grander than temporary ease.
You must awaken each day with a why so compelling, so vivid, so deeply personal that nothing can dislodge it. Not fear, not failure, not fatigue. Your definite chief aim is not merely a target, it is your identity in motion. It is who you are becoming, directed by vision and fueled by obsession. Every individual I ever studied who achieved greatness possessed this. They didn't vaguely desire it. They didn't merely hope. They embodied it. Their purpose was not an activity. It was their essence. Ask yourself, what do I want so intensely that I am willing to endure for it? What do I yearn for so profoundly that I am willing to be criticized, doubted, and isolated to attain it? What life would make every challenge worthwhile? Once you have that answer, brand it upon your subconscious. Recite it aloud at dawn and dusk. Visualize it as already accomplished. Speak it with passion. Engrave it in your heart. Because vague wishes yield vague outcomes, but clarity commands creation. And once you are clear, once your purpose is fixed in your consciousness like Polaris, your mental fortress will become not just your armor, but your weapon. Now, listen with full attention. The man who possesses a definite chief aim and guards his mental attitude becomes unstoppable. He may be delayed, but never defeated. He may fall, but always gets up. He may face battles, but never surrenders. Why? Because he understands that attitude is the pivot on which the gate of fate turns. Your attitude dictates whether a failure becomes fuel or your final chapter, whether a loss becomes a lesson or a lifelong alibi, whether a hardship becomes your collapse or your coronation. But you must protect that attitude as a knight guards his honor. You must defend it from all negative influence. This includes toxic associations, the people who drain your energy and ambition, mental sloth, the indulgence in gossip, self-pity, and any thought that diminishes your power, victim consciousness. No matter what occurs, take full responsibility. Own it, mold it, ascend from it. Never allow another person or event to define the narrative of your life. That authority is yours and yours alone. Now, allow me to speak directly to your core. As a man who has devoted his life to unraveling the secrets of the greats, know this: you are not here by coincidence. You were endowed with a unique purpose. You possess a gift the world requires. Your very being is evidence that your destiny is valid. But it will not materialize if your mind is clogged with the 6 basic fears: fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Your mission is to purify your inner universe. Feed your mind the language of giants. Study the biographies of titans. Voice your affirmations. Take courageous action. And above all else, think thoughts that elevate, enlarge, empower, and propel you forward. Every time you do, you expand. Every time you let fear dictate your mind, you contract. Grow or diminish, that is the choice presented to you every single day. Now, let me give you a rule that has never failed. Act as if it were impossible to fail. I do not say this trivially. I say it because fear has plundered more destinies than failure ever could. The dread of failure keeps men miniature. The expectation of loss is often more paralyzing than the loss itself. But what occurs if you erase the very concept of failure? What if you decree, "I cannot fail, I can only learn. I cannot lose, I can only recalibrate. I cannot break, I can only adapt and return stronger"? That, my friend, is sovereignty. That is the genesis of an unshakable mind. Because you cease hesitating, you advance, you declare, you build, you lead. And in that leadership, fear retreats, doubt scatters, and the world aligns. Because confidence is magnetic, certainty is rare, and those who embody both become leaders by nature, not just by position. Now, hear this final truth. No one ever achieved profound success entirely alone, but no one ever succeeded who waited for others to believe in them first. You must believe when others scoff. You must stand when others recline. You must speak your vision when others mock. You must lead even if you are still evolving into the person you proclaim, for the world will follow those who dare to be mentally impregnable. So, let me summarize what you now hold, if you have the courage to live it. A mind that perceives advantage in every adversity. A voice that speaks sovereignty into your spirit daily. A definite chief aim so clear that fear is suffocated. A discipline so relentless that weakness becomes irrelevant. And a mindset so fortified, so unassailable, that no opposition can halt your progression. This is not a fairy tale. These are laws. These principles are timeless. They worked for the pioneers of the past. They work for the innovators of today. And they will work for you if you work them. So the question is not, will they function? The question is, will you? Will you rise and claim your attitude each day? Will you speak with power even when your situation whispers weakness? Will you persist when every fiber of your being screams to quit? Because if you do, you will not only build success, you will build a legacy, a life of significance, a life of greatness, a life that echoes through generations long after you are gone. That is the power of an unshakable mental fortress, and it is yours right now if you decide. So I ask you, as your guide and as a man who dedicated his life to this study, will you decide? For in that moment of decision, your destiny is activated. And from this day forward, let your every thought, your every word, your every action proclaim to the world, I am unshakable. I am unstoppable. I am unbreakable. And so it is.